What is going on, everybody? Dan's Midwest Angling here, and I'm officially on vacation. This vacation, we are going to be embarking on the most epic journey I've ever attempted since starting this channel. Those of you that don't know, I'm originally from Maine. I did not grow up in the Midwest. I'm a transplant. And this trip, we are returning to Maine. There's been a cabin in my family since 1908, I think. I'm not sure. But it's old. And it's been in my family the entire time. It's a beautiful place. I can't even describe it. You just have to see it. And for this journey, I'm stuffing my entire family in the soccer mom-mobile. And we're dragging the camper. It's going to be quite the trip. We are leaving really early in the morning, like 1 a.m. So that means that that's like 5 hours from now. So I'm headed home. We're going to finish packing up the car, packing up the camper, and then we're taking off. So I'll see you going down the road. Good morning. We made it to my hometown of not so sunny Saco, Maine. The first day of our travels went off without a hitch. And the second day could only be described with using the following scene. So the long and the short of it is there's some mechanical troubles with the car, and that's what we're in the middle of trying to sort out. So fortunately, though, my father's truck is not his primary vehicle, so we're going to borrow that thing to make the rest of the way up to camp. Now, the original plan was to go straight up to camp, but the circumstances did not allow that to happen last night. We got in very late to here. So we're going to take a trip to Cabela's, get some final supplies, then we're headed up to camp. There's going to be a lot of people up there, so I don't know how much fishing I'm actually going to get to do today. But we're going to get everything swapped over, get the canoe loaded up, and make our way up to camp. Let's go.
The camp was built in the early 1900s by my grandfather's great aunt and uncle, Emma and Albert. In a time when most people came to these mountains to trap or homestead, Uncle Albert built only the second structure to exist on this entire pond, with a revolutionary intention: recreation. He started his career in the late 1800s as a school teacher and soon became the superintendent of several school districts across Maine. He would later go on to become a judge, mostly in probate court, but he did preside over criminal proceedings on occasion. He was a naturalist and master horticulturist, a member of the Knights Templar, and even moonlighted as an auctioneer. It's easy to see why he and Aunt Emma chose this incredible place to unwind in the autumn of their years. They were unable to have children, so when my grandfather was orphaned as a young boy, they raised him. When they passed, the camp passed to him, which was then passed to my uncle and my mother. Today, my generation is responsible for the camp, but we still remember those who made it possible over a century ago.
Good afternoon. It's the first full day up to camp. Got out fishing this morning, but it didn't really go that well. So I don't think it's gonna make the air. But we are here. This is up to camp. Now, most places in America, you say you get a cabin, a lake house. But here in Maine, don't get any of that. It's a friggin' camp. You don't go down to camp, you don't go over to camp. You always go up to camp, no matter which direction you actually travel. That's the rules. I didn't make them up. So I grew up fishing here. This is where I learned to fish by myself. Now, I'm not going to be mentioning any of the names of any of these bodies of water, just because I don't want a whole lot of intrusion, you know what I mean? I like to keep the place kind of secret. But if you do know, all I ask is you just keep it to yourself, because if somebody guesses it right in the comments, I will delete it. So just don't even bother. But most of these little ponds are filled with trout, thanks to the Maine IFW. That's Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. This one that we're on, because the camp's here, I've got the most experience here. Now for tactics, the name of the game when you're trout fishing is rigging. I basically got Lindy rigs. I never used Lindy rigs until I moved to the Midwest. The way we always caught them was with snelled hooks and crawlers. And a Lindy rig is just a fancy snelled hook. So the water's real calm. So I'm gonna try using the slip bobber. And I've also just got this kind of rig that I'm casting out with a worm weight on it and a spinner. We'll see how this does. The most success I've ever had here was trolling, but I don't have a motor, so I don't know how well that's going to turn out. I was supposed to have my ice fishing flasher. That didn't make the cut. We kind of left in a hurry. The trip out here with the vehicle troubles and everything was a total disaster. So really, I'm just kind of happy to be here. But if I don't get any bites doing this, then I'm gonna attempt to troll. I got a couple trolling rigs out, already rigged up. Got my line counters, big walleye trolling reels for a little itty bitty brook trout. But it's what we got, so at least with the line counters I'll be able to duplicate some results. Because trolling here, I always just kind of let it fly and let it do its thing, and it seems to catch fish. Paddling this thing's a lot easier than this morning. Forgot to get my bucket of water up front to balance this thing out, and I'm still popping a wheelie, but it was really bad this morning. I think it was pretty tippy because of it. This is like a 17-foot square back canoe, so they actually don't get much more stable than this. And this is our chariot for the week. I got a little dolly. Now, two of these ponds that we're gonna go to, they're carry-on. I mean, they're the definition of carry-on. Like, one of them I'm dragging through the woods quite a distance, and the other one I'm dragging up over a hill. The pond that we're probably going to go to tomorrow, though, actually has a boat launch. It's this little tiny hole in the ground that they stock with trout. So it's a blast. That's kind of my ace in the hole. If the fish don't cooperate, I know I can catch them there. Interesting thing about this pond is it wasn't the first to have milfoil in it, but it was one of the early ones. Oops, I was supposed to do that. bite. Yep. What do we got here? A yellow perch. Ace. They're just dinky guys too. Just little. And the problem is they have no predators in here. So they all get pretty stunted. Now I'm seeing some monstrous yellow perch come out of this pond. But that was definitely not one of them. But that does mean that that's gonna work. Just gotta find us some trout. Ah, bit me off. Close to him, but same size. Could almost have myself a fish fry. Fish sticks. Oh, it's a little gill. And I mean a little gill. Wait, formed. What the hell is going on? Alright guys, we have left the camp and we are going to the smallest pond of all the ponds in this here valley. The thing about this pond is that they still stock it just like any of the other ponds, but there's only one real spot that's deep enough for trout to, you know, survive. And so they kind of all stack up on that little bowl like fish in a barrel. It'll make you feel real good about your fishing skills. just using the drone to get some B-roll shots. And I hear a noise coming up the road, and it's a side-by-side. And these two guys come up, and Tom and Buster introduced themselves, and we got to talking. Turns out they've been coming to this place for many years, hunting these woods. And there we are standing around talking. And then we finally says, well, let's get out and do some fishing. So here we are. I've also procured an anchor. It's gonna be very helpful. This place, I'm basically gonna be setting over a hole. That's where all the trout's gonna be. Problem is, I don't have my depth finder, so I gotta go purely off of memory. I know it was in the back here somewhere. That's a nice thing about having a line counter too. You can drop that weight down, and that'll tell you exactly how much water you're in. I got 18 feet. It's a little breezy for that slip bobber. So I think I'm gonna take this crawler harness and drop it straight down. Look at that. First drop down. Yeah. Exactly. I bought one like 10 years ago, and I never used it until like this weekend. Here's another one. Little stalkers. There we go. Oh, that was a bigger one too. Yeah. It's crazy. I was using pink beads. And them first couple that I caught, I had white beads on. I just switched, and the second I put on white beads again, they go nuts for it. The second it's down there. So I'm thinking that's got something to do with it. Oh, he's coming backwards. Yeah, in the tail. Yeah, he coming backwards. I think that's the biggest one of the day so far. Ah! Oh, he did. There we go. Hey, they're getting bigger. I like that. Oh, really? Of course, that's the one that pops right off, right? Quick release. No respect. The hell? There we go. Oh, flying trout. Quick release. I got something playing with me. There we go. Ooh. Ooh. Another quick release. What a joke. I think this is a golden china. I have a frigged up face like a fall fish, aka mountain trout. There we go. There's a real trout. Hooked beautifully. No. You can always tell a stock trout in Maine, number one, they're dull. They're not as colorful as natives, but they always clip this fin. That's how you know that was a hatchery fish. The trick is definitely using the color white. I had the purple and orange down there and they would not touch it. But I went back to white. Jeez, getting bites right below the surface here. Went back to white and they're all over it. So if we fish the pond that the camp's on, again, definitely going to keep that in mind. And then the final pond, the one that's over the hill and far away, I think we're going to see if that's the case there too. But the thing is, when you're experimenting, if you're not catching fish, you can't really figure anything out. Now, there's a thing out there yesterday, I barely got a bite. Now the thing with trolling is you're usually supposed to be consistent, but you know, we don't have that option here with this canoe. The idea is more to be steady. Not necessarily reach a certain speed, but just whatever speed that I'm at, I'm gonna be trying to keep that speed, not be herky-jerky, although, you know, some people would say that that would almost even be better because the change is what would trigger the fish to strike if they're following it. So I don't know. We're gonna ride this bite out till it fades, though. That, or I have to go back to camp supper. We'll see. I don't even know what time it is. It's friggin' thunder showers rolling in. It's hard to tell. Can't see the sun. All right, I'm going. Oh boy, I did it now. Well guys, of course now that I left it stopped raining, but we're gonna call it a day. We're gonna go back to camp, get some supper. Tomorrow we're gonna get at it bright and early. And we are going to a place that is fly fishing only. Now I'm terrible at fly fishing, so this could be a real disaster. The other thing is I gotta drag the canoe like a mile to get to the pond. So stay tuned. We'll see you in the morning. Good morning. I was supposed to get up real early to film this, but I didn't really feel that great when I woke up this morning, and I certainly did not feel in prime condition to be dragging a canoe through the friggin' woods up a ridge line. But you know, I got a Snickers in me, so I'm feeling a little better now. So now we're gonna get at it. I own a fly rod. I've used it like 3 times, and one of those times was on this trip already. This is also the trail to climb the mountain that you see directly across from the camp. So let's get to it, figure out how to use this dolly. Man, that was a lot of work. Let's hope that it was worth it. That's all I ask. Let's try this fly fishing thing. About an hour has passed since I actually made it here. I went for a swim, which is very refreshing. As soon as I got my clothes back on, it really wasn't, because they were still super sweaty. I don't think I'm going to do this again. And by the looks of it, there's 85 canoes around here. See, this is why I don't fly fish. This nonsense. But it's the rules. You gotta follow the rules. This pond is supposed to be, you know, the genuine experience, and well, I freaking got it all right. run for cover. There's no way I can get this gear out of this rain if it's gonna come down real good. Oh man, you want to talk about worst day ever. I lugged this stupid thing all the way out here, fishing for like 20 minutes, and then a thunder shower rolls through, drenched everything. I had to take refuge in the graveyard of canoes. I'm soaked, but I managed to keep all the equipment dry. Now the sun's out, so we're gonna try and actually catch some fish here. Oh, biggest disaster possibly ever. I'm not gonna leave it at that. Now with the sun out, maybe I'll dry off a little bit. But the thing is, everything's just wet. I couldn't even fly the drone when I went to take off because it gave me the warning about water being in the charging port. Everything's just soaked. That was before the rain. Oh, look at that. How spooky one. Tell you why I'm not getting any bites.
I wish that I could tell you that I fought the good fight, that I caught the biggest brook trout of my life and I returned to camp triumphantly. But this is the real world. And in reality, I had to drag the canoe back to the truck, stiff, sore, and empty-handed.
Alright, it's the last morning. We're back at the honey hole. I had to attempt to make some victory out of the defeat that is this trip. We only got a couple hours and we gotta pack everything up. And of course there's a threat of rain. The drone is currently down. Something about all the moisture. It's not connecting to the controller now. I've had real problems with charging my cell phone. You know, that little warning that says moisture in the charging port. Yeah, it's been bad. Everything's just wet. There's been so much rain up here. So humid. So we're gonna give it one last hurrah. And this is the worst fishing that I've had up here in a while. I don't know what it is, but I can usually always catch them at the pond the camp's on. I don't know if it's the fact that I'm not used to fishing out of a canoe, I'm used to fishing out of a boat, or what. Maybe the conditions just haven't been good. I don't know. All the places I've been able to find them before, I couldn't even get a bite. Except for here. This place is all reliable. I think it's because there's no variables. They're only in one spot. They can only be in one spot. About to rain. What a failure. I can't even catch him in my honey hole now. You know, the whole way out here, I had visions of this being a epic slugfest, a defining moment. And I guess it just puts it into perspective that at the end of the day, you're just chasing these little green monsters that are under the water, and you are entirely at their mercy. I am within feet of where I was the other day when I was just catching them cast after cast. And I just saw one rise up, chasing a worm. But I don't know if it's the front that's moving by, the weather, but they don't want to bite.
In the YouTube fishing world, we tend to only post our wins, forever bound to our pursuit of views and watch hours. But anyone who's spent any amount of time fishing knows that there are wins and losses. From a fishing standpoint, this trip was a loss. But for me personally, it was a win. I got to spend time in my favorite places on this entire earth. I saw a family I rarely see, and I watched my boys play in the same grains of sand that their great-grandfather did a century earlier. This may have been the first epic trip I've done on this channel, but I can assure you, it will not be the last.